welcome back to Minted Million Coins. Today I'm walking you through the exact coins you need to search for right now. And collectors are paying thousands for. It might be sitting in your wallet right now. What if I told you this coin is worth more than gold? Stay tuned because by the end of this video you'll never look at change the same way again. Let's get into it. Before you go, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Minted Million Coins and press the bell icon so you never miss our freshly updated rare coin discoveries. Right now, I am holding a piece of American history that has made ordinary people into instant legends. Welcome back to Minted Million Coins, the only place where we turn pocket change into life-changing treasure. Today, we are not just talking about a coin. We are talking about a ghost, a relic from a time when America was reshaping its destiny. Imagine holding an object that survived the Great Depression, World War II, and a century of economic turmoil. This tiny silver disc is not just metal, it is a time machine. And here is the shocking truth. Most people have no idea what they are looking at. They see an old, worn-out dime. But I see a down payment on a house. I see a treasure chest buried in plain sight. Today, we are diving deep into the abyss of numismatics to uncover the secrets of one of the most shocking and elusive coins in the American market. You need to watch this until the very end, because if you ever find this coin in your change, you might just faint. Forget what you think you know about old coins. This isn't pocket change. This is a weapon of wealth. Stay glued to your screen, because we are about to uncover the mystery of the 1921 Mercury Dime. Let's turn back the clock to a time of dramatic transformation in the United States. The year is 1921. The Roaring Twenties are just beginning, but the country is facing a painful economic hangover from World War I. There was a severe recession, and the United States Mint had a very specific priority, producing millions of silver dollars. Because of this frenzy to make dollars, the production of dimes was put on the back burner. The result? A catastrophe of scarcity. The 1921 Mercury Dime, also known as the Winged Liberty Head Dime, was designed by the brilliant sculptor Adolf A. Weinman. On one side you have a stunning portrait of Liberty wearing a winged Phrygian cap. Many confuse her with the Roman god Mercury, which is how the coin got its nickname. But don't be mistaken, this isn't just a depiction of a deity. This is a symbol of freedom of thought, an artistic masterpiece born from the Beaux Arts movement. The reverse side is equally symbolic, displaying a fasces, a bundle of rods with an axe paired with an olive branch. This represents strength and peace. But here is where the magic lies. This specific coin from 1921 is made of 90% pure silver and 10% copper. It's heavy, it's honest, and it is worth far more than its original 10-cent face value. Now let's get to the heart of the mystery. Why is this specific coin causing a frenzy in the market today? First, look at the mintage. The Philadelphia Mint struck only 1,230,000 of these dimes in 1921. To put that in perspective, modern mints produce billions of coins. This scarcity is astronomical. But it gets even more intense. Most of those 1.2 million coins were heavily circulated. They were spent on bread, used for bus fares, and lost in the pockets of history. Finding a 1921 Mercury Dime is like finding a needle in a haystack. Finding one in decent condition? That is like finding a golden needle. Collectors are fanatical about the full split bands detail on the reverse. If the bands of the fasces are fully struck and clearly separated, the value skyrockets. Because of the economic slowdown, the mint's die quality wasn't perfect, making high-quality strikes incredibly rare. Beware of counterfeits. This coin is so valuable that scammers have been adding fake mint marks or altering dates for decades. This is a coin that demands authentication. It is too dangerous to trust with the naked eye. So, what is this treasure worth today? If you have this coin in old circulated condition, say, in the very fine to extremely fine range, you are not just holding pocket change. The current market value of this specific condition, an old circulated 1921 Mercury Dime, is approximately $11,000. Did you catch that? $11,000. This is not a number I pulled out of thin air. This is a verified treasure. In a market that is absolutely on fire, this coin commands a price that would make any collector's heart race. This is a financial monster. This is the kind of coin that turns a casual hobby into a high-stakes game. And the market value? It is climbing. It is rising. It is becoming more elusive and more in demand every single day. Don't take this as fiction. I am telling you the truth. If you find a 1921 Mercury Dime, you have found a rare treasure that could change your life. There you have it, treasure hunters. The 1921 Mercury Dime is a sleeping giant in the world of coin collecting. It is a piece of history that holds the power to make you rich overnight. The thrill of the hunt is real, and the payoff is monumental. This is Minted Million Coins, keeping you ahead of the curve in the world of hidden treasure. Make sure to smash that like button if you enjoyed this video. Hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss out on the next discovery. We upload fresh new content every single day, exposing the secrets hidden in your spare change. Today, Minted Million Coins is taking you back to 1929. A year when America stood at the edge of one of the most dramatic economic periods in its history. A year when the world was about to change. A year when this small silver coin was released into American circulation. And now, decades later, the right example of this coin can become an extraordinary collector treasure. But here is the mystery. Not every 1929 Mercury Dime is the same. Some were heavily used and worn through years of circulation. Others were protected, preserved, and passed down through generations. And then there are the examples that make serious collectors stop, examine every detail, and ask a very different question. How rare is this coin really? Welcome back to Minted Million Coins, where we bring you fresh coin discoveries, historic treasures, rare varieties, and the stories behind the American coins that people often overlook. And today, we are examining a coin that carries nearly 100 years of history. This is the 1929 Mercury Dime. Before we reveal the full story and the extraordinary collector value connected to the specific condition we are discussing today, you need to understand why this coin is so fascinating. The Mercury Dime was officially known as the Winged Liberty Head Dime. Its famous design was created by American sculptor Adolph A. Weinman, one of the most respected artists connected with American coinage. On the obverse, Liberty faces left. Her hair flows beneath a winged cap, creating the image that gave the coin its famous nickname. Many people look at the design and immediately think of Mercury, the Roman god. But the figure is Liberty, and the winged cap represents freedom of thought. Now think about the year 1929. This was not an ordinary moment in American history. The United States was moving through a period of tremendous economic change. The decade had brought major industrial growth, technological development, and cultural transformation. But 1929 would soon become associated with one of the most important economic turning points in American history. And during this extraordinary period, the United States Mint was producing silver dimes that would later become treasured pieces of American history. The 1929 Mercury Dime was made primarily from 90% silver, with copper making up the remaining portion of the alloy. It has the classic size, weight, and reeded edge associated with the Mercury Dime series. But when you hold one in your hand, you are not simply holding a 10-cent coin. You are holding a small piece of a completely different America. An America before modern digital technology. An America before the modern internet. An America where communication, transportation, shopping, and everyday life looked entirely different. This coin existed in that world. And somehow, it survived. That survival is one of the greatest reasons collectors are fascinated by old coins. Imagine this 1929 dime entering circulation nearly a century ago. It could have traveled through banks, stores, homes, businesses, and countless hands. It could have been placed into a pocket, dropped into a drawer, saved inside a jar, or passed through a family for decades. Every year of circulation could have left behind another scratch, another mark, another area of wear, another lost detail. And that is why the condition of a 1929 Mercury dime becomes so important. When collectors examine this coin, they study the entire surface. They look at Liberty's portrait. They examine the winged cap. They study the hair detail. They inspect the lettering. They examine the date. Then they turn the coin over, and the reverse reveals another powerful design. At the center is a fasces surrounded by olive branches. The fasces symbolizes strength and unity, while the olive branches symbolize peace. This design creates an incredible contrast. Strength, unity, peace, all represented on a small silver dime that could fit between your fingertips. But the most important details may be hidden in the central design. The horizontal bands around the fasces are particularly important to advanced Mercury dime collectors. On exceptionally well-preserved coins, these bands can remain sharply defined and separated. When the bands are fully and clearly visible, collectors may refer to the coin as having full bands, commonly abbreviated as FB. And that detail can dramatically increase collector interest. Because a coin can have the correct year. It can be made from silver. It can be almost 100 years old. And yet if the design was weakly struck or the coin suffered heavy wear, it may not have the same desirability as an exceptionally sharp example. This is where the true world of rare coin collecting begins. Collectors are not simply looking for old dates. They are looking for survival. They are looking for quality. They are looking for details that millions of other coins lost long ago. And this is why a 1929 Mercury dime deserves a much closer examination than most people would expect. Look at the date. Is it clear? Is the coin heavily worn? Does the surface show scratches? Has the coin been cleaned? Are the original details still visible? Now examine the reverse. Are the fasces sharp? Are the olive branches well defined? Are the bands across the fasces clearly separated? These tiny details can be incredibly important. And then there is the question of mint marks. A 1929 Mercury dime may have been produced at different U.S. mint facilities, and the mint mark can provide important information about the coin's origin and rarity. Collectors carefully examine the area near the bottom of the reverse because the presence or absence of a mint mark can change the identity and desirability of the coin. This is one reason you should never look only at the date. The date is the beginning. The mint mark tells you more. The condition tells you more. Today, we are going to examine a coin that has survived nearly a century of American history. A coin that was created during the Great Depression era, when the United States was rebuilding, changing, and moving toward a new chapter. A coin made from silver. A coin carrying one of the most beautiful designs ever placed on American money, and a coin that can become dramatically more desirable when the right details, the right condition, and the right rarity come together. Welcome back to Minted Million Coins, where every day we bring you fresh discoveries, historic coins, rare varieties, and the hidden stories behind the pieces of American money that most people overlook. And today I want you to pay very close attention, because this is not just another old dime. This is the 1936 Mercury dime. And before we reveal the full story behind this coin, let me tell you something. The most exciting part may not be the date itself. The real mystery is hidden in the details. The condition. The strike. The mint mark. The reverse design. The possibility of rare varieties, and the question every serious collector wants answered. Could this small silver coin be much more valuable than it first appears? The Mercury Dime is one of the most famous and recognizable designs in American coin history. Although collectors commonly call it the Mercury Dime, its official name is the Winged Liberty Head Dime. The design was created by the famous American sculptor Adolph A. Weinman, whose work also became associated with other iconic American coin designs. On the front of the coin, Liberty faces left. Her hair flows beneath a winged cap, creating the image that gave this coin its famous nickname. To many people, the design resembles the Roman god Mercury, but the image actually represents liberty. And this is what makes the coin so powerful. It is not simply an old dime. It is a miniature work of American art. The wings on Liberty's cap symbolize freedom of thought. Think about that for a moment. Every time this coin moved through American commerce, it carried an image representing liberty and freedom. And the 1936 date places it in a fascinating period of American history. The United States was still living through the effects of the Great Depression. The country was undergoing major economic and social changes. Franklin D. Roosevelt was president. The New Deal era was shaping American life, and the nation was slowly moving toward a new period of growth and transformation. And during that period, this tiny silver dime was being struck and released into circulation. Millions of Americans may have handled coins like this without ever imagining that decades later, collectors would study them under magnification and search for the finest surviving examples. Now turn the coin over. The reverse contains one of the most powerful designs in American coinage. At the center is a fasces. Surrounded by olive branches, the fasces represent strength and unity, while the olive branches represent peace. Strength and peace. Power and freedom. A small coin carrying a design with an enormous message. The coin was made from 90% silver, giving it a composition that immediately separates it from modern circulating dimes. It weighs approximately 2.5 grams and has a reeded edge. Its silver composition is one of the reasons Mercury Dimes remain so popular with collectors today. But silver alone is not what creates the real excitement. The real excitement begins when we start examining the coin's condition. Because with old coins, survival is everything. Imagine a coin released in 1936. It could have passed through thousands of hands. It could have been carried in pockets, placed on counters, dropped onto hard surfaces, stored in drawers, exposed to moisture, scratched against other coins, or simply worn down through years of daily use. Every year of circulation could destroy another small detail. The delicate lines in Liberty's hair could fade. The wings on the cap could become worn. The lettering could lose its sharpness. The central details on the reverse could become weak. And the delicate bands across the fasces could gradually disappear. That is why collectors examine every part of a Mercury dime carefully. They are not simply asking, "Is this coin old?" They are asking, "How much of the original coin survived?" And that question can make an enormous difference. On the obverse, collectors examine Liberty's portrait and the winged cap. They look at the strength of the design, the quality of the strike, the amount of wear, and the condition of the surface. On the reverse, the fasces and its horizontal bands receive special attention. When these bands are exceptionally sharp and clearly separated, the coin may qualify for the highly desirable full bands designation. And this is where the coin becomes even more fascinating. A 1936 Mercury dime with exceptional preservation and strong full bands can attract serious attention from advanced collectors. The reason is simple. The coin may be common in ordinary grades, but truly exceptional examples are much harder to find. That is the difference between simply owning an old coin and owning a coin that collectors actively compete to obtain. And there is another detail that makes the 1936 issue especially interesting. The large number of dies used to produce 1936 Philadelphia Mercury Dimes resulted in several known doubled die obverse varieties. Some of these varieties can be subtle, affecting areas such as the date and the motto "In God We Trust." This means that a collector examining a 1936 Mercury dime should not simply glance at the coin and move on. A magnifying glass or proper magnification can reveal details that the naked eye may completely miss. Now, this is where the story becomes truly exciting. Today, we are looking at a 1937 Mercury Dime. And before you dismiss it as just another old 10-cent coin, look closer. Because this little piece of American history carries more than silver. It carries a design that became legendary. A history connected to the final years of one of America's most beautiful dime series. And details that can separate an ordinary survivor from a truly extraordinary collector piece. The date is 1937. The design is unmistakable. The coin is small enough to be overlooked, but the right combination of preservation, strike quality, surface condition, sharp detail, and collector demand can completely change the story. And here is the question that makes this coin so fascinating. How many people have seen a 1937 Mercury Dime and never realized what they were looking at? Because in the world of rare coins, the date alone is never the entire story. Sometimes the real secret is hidden in the condition. Sometimes it is hidden in the sharpness of the design. Sometimes it is hidden in the smallest details that only experienced collectors know to inspect. So stay with me, because by the end of this video, you will understand exactly why collectors pay such close attention to the 1937 Mercury Dime, what makes it truly exceptional. Before we talk about rarity, condition, or collector demand, we have to travel back to the America of 1937. The United States was moving through a fascinating period of history. The nation was still living through the enormous changes of the 20th century. Industry was transforming. American families were watching technology, transportation, manufacturing, and everyday life change around them. And through all of this, coins were constantly moving from hand to hand. A dime could be placed into a pocket in the morning, spent at a store later that day, pass through another person's hands, and then disappear into a cash register or collection for decades. That is what makes a 1937 Mercury Dime so fascinating. This is not simply an old coin. It is a survivor from another America. The coin was part of the famous Mercury Dime series, officially known as the Winged Liberty Head Dime series. The design was created by the talented sculptor Adolph A. Weinman, and the series was produced from 1916 through 1945. The name Mercury Dime came from the appearance of Liberty wearing a winged cap. Many people believed the figure represented the Roman god Mercury, but the design actually represents liberty. That misunderstanding only made the coin more mysterious to the public. On the obverse, Liberty faces left while wearing the winged cap. Around her are the inscriptions Liberty, In God We Trust, and the date. On the reverse, we see the powerful fasces, an ancient symbol of authority, wrapped with olive branches. The design combines strength and peace in a way that makes this dime instantly recognizable to collectors. And then there is the metal. The Mercury Dime was struck in a 90% silver composition with the remainder primarily copper. That means every surviving example carries not only historical importance but also the physical character of an old American silver coin. When you hold a well-preserved Mercury Dime under the light, you can see why collectors are attracted to these pieces. The surface can reveal luster. The design can appear incredibly sharp. The edges can show the evidence of a coin that was actually made for circulation in an era completely different from our own. But the 1937 date is where our story becomes especially interesting. Why the 1937 date matters. The 1937 Mercury Dime belongs to the later years of the series. By this point, the design was already well established, and millions of these dimes had entered circulation. But here is the secret that many casual observers miss. The existence of many examples does not automatically mean every example is equal. A coin can be common in lower grades and still become highly desirable when it survives in extraordinary condition. That is the great dividing line in coin collecting. One 1937 Mercury Dime may have been heavily circulated, worn smooth, scratched, damaged, or exposed to harsh conditions for decades. Another may have been carefully preserved from the moment it was struck. These two coins can have the same date and the same basic design, Yet the difference in collector interest can be enormous. This is why serious collectors never stop at the question, "What year is it?" They ask, "How well did it survive?" And that question brings us to the most important part of this coin. The unique features collectors look for when collectors examine a 1937 Mercury Dime. They do not simply glance at the date and move on. They study the coin. They examine the surfaces. They inspect Liberty's portrait. They look at the lettering. They study the winged cap. They examine the reverse design, especially the fasces and the horizontal bands. This is where the coin can begin to enter a completely different level of collector attention. A coin with weak detail may be overlooked. A coin with exceptional sharpness can attract serious interest. And when outstanding preservation combines with strong strike quality, original luster, clean surfaces, and professional certification, the coin becomes far more than an old dime. It becomes a condition rarity. That is the phrase collectors understand. The date may not be enough by itself. The real power can come from the combination of date, grade, strike, surface quality, eye appeal, and certification. Now let's talk about the part that can create the greatest excitement for collectors. Rarity. There are different kinds of rarity in the coin world. Some coins are rare because very few were originally produced. Some are rare because most examples were destroyed, lost, or damaged. And some are rare because, even though many were originally made, almost none survived in truly exceptional condition. The 1937 Mercury Dime is especially interesting because high-end collector value is heavily influenced by condition. But when a coin survives with strong original detail, beautiful surfaces, attractive luster, and exceptional preservation, the conversation changes. Collectors begin comparing it with the finest examples known. This is also where errors and varieties can become important. Now, after looking at the history, the design, the silver composition, the condition factors, the sharpness of the strike, the current market value I am presenting for this specific described example is $29,000. Yes, $29,000. And this is the moment where many people realize something important about coin collecting. The value is not simply sitting inside the metal. The value is in the history, the survival, the condition, the rarity of the specific example, the demand from collectors, and the ability of the coin to stand apart from ordinary examples. A regular 1937 Mercury Dime should never automatically be assumed to be worth this amount. The value depends heavily on the exact coin, its grade, authentication, strike quality, surface preservation, and market demand. But for the specific exceptional condition being discussed in this video, the figure is a remarkable reminder of how dramatically the world of rare coins can change at the highest levels. And that is why collectors continue searching. Important tips for collectors: if you discover a 1937 Mercury Dime, the first thing you should do is slow down. Do not clean it. Do not polish it. Do not rub the surface with a cloth. Do not use chemicals or household products to make the coin look brighter. A coin's original surface can be extremely important to collectors, and aggressive cleaning can permanently damage the very characteristics that make a coin desirable. Instead, examine the date carefully. Look at the overall condition. Check the details of Liberty's portrait. Study the reverse. Look closely at the bands on the fasces. Pay attention to unusual features, possible varieties, and the overall originality of the surfaces. If the coin appears to be in exceptional condition, professional authentication and grading may be worth considering. And remember this: a coin should never be judged by a single photograph, a random online listing, or an unbelievable claim without evidence. The real treasure is knowledge. The real advantage belongs to the collector who knows what to look for. Next we have: imagine finding an old silver dime that has been sitting quietly for decades. Today's coin is the 1944 Mercury Dime. But before you decide that this is simply another old dime, stay with me. Because this coin was born during one of the most important periods in American history. It was struck while the United States was fully involved in the Second World War. Millions of Americans were serving overseas. American factories were working around the clock. The nation was producing weapons, vehicles, aircraft, and supplies for the war effort. And while history was being written on battlefields across the world, the United States Mint was continuing to produce the coins that move through everyday American life. One of those coins was the 1944 Mercury Dime. The first thing that makes this coin fascinating is its design. The coin is officially known as the Winged Liberty Head Dime, but collectors and the public have traditionally called it the Mercury Dime, because the winged cap worn by Liberty can remind viewers of the Roman god Mercury. On the obverse, you see the elegant portrait of Liberty facing left. Her hair is carefully arranged, and the winged cap creates one of the most recognizable images in American coinage. But this is not just a beautiful design. The coin carries a powerful historical message. The wings on Liberty's cap were intended to symbolize freedom of thought. That symbolism becomes even more powerful when you remember the period in which this 1944 coin was produced. The world was experiencing a global conflict. Freedom, democracy, and national survival were not just words in a history book. They were issues affecting millions of lives. And in the middle of that extraordinary era, this small silver dime was being struck and placed into circulation. Turn the coin over, and the design becomes even more powerful. The reverse displays a fasces surrounded by olive branches. The fasces represent strength and unity, while the olive branches represent peace. Together, the design creates a powerful contrast. Strength prepared to defend freedom, but peace as the ultimate goal. That is one of the reasons collectors love the Mercury Dime series. You are not simply holding an old piece of metal. You are holding a miniature historical document. Every mark, every worn edge, and every surviving detail connects the coin to a specific moment in American history. And the 1944 date is especially interesting because it places this coin directly inside the wartime period. The coin itself was made primarily from a 90% silver composition, with the remaining metal consisting largely of copper. This composition gives the Mercury Dime its distinctive weight, feel, and appearance. When a well-preserved example is examined under proper lighting, the silver surface can reveal a remarkable combination of brightness, luster, and age. But here is where the real mystery begins. Not every 1944 Mercury Dime is equal. Two coins can carry exactly the same date and appear similar to an inexperienced observer. Yet one can be worth dramatically more to collectors than the other. Why? Because serious collectors do not look only at the year. They study the coin's condition. They study the strike. They study the surface. They examine the details. They search for unusual minting characteristics. And they pay close attention to the smallest areas of the design. One of the most important areas on Mercury Dimes is the reverse fasces. The horizontal bands wrapped around the fasces can become a major factor in determining the quality of a high-grade coin. When those bands are sharply defined and clearly separated, collectors may describe the coin as having full bands, commonly abbreviated as FB. This detail can completely change the conversation surrounding a Mercury Dime. A coin with weakly struck bands may still be historically important and collectible. But a coin with exceptionally sharp, fully defined bands can attract much stronger attention from advanced collectors, especially when the rest of the coin is also preserved at a high level. And this is where many people make a serious mistake. They see an old coin and assume that age alone creates enormous value. But age is only one part of the story. A coin can be more than 80 years old and still be relatively common. Another coin from the same year can be far more desirable because of its preservation, strike quality, rarity, or unusual minting characteristics. That is why the 1944 Mercury Dime must be examined carefully. Look at the obverse. Is Liberty's hair sharply defined? Are the lines in the winged cap clear? Are the facial details strong? Has the coin suffered heavy wear? Are there deep scratches, harsh cleaning marks, corrosion or damage? Now look at the reverse. Are the olive branches clearly visible? Is the fascie sharply defined? Are the bands strong and complete? Does the coin show the kind of crisp detail that advanced collectors search for? These questions can determine whether you are looking at an ordinary old silver dime, or something far more interesting. And then there is the issue of errors. The 1944 Mercury Dime is known for an interesting double die obverse variety. According to professional numismatic references, the doubling can be subtle, but it is a recognized feature that can attract collectors who specialize in die varieties and minting errors. This is exactly why examining a coin under magnification can sometimes reveal details that remain invisible to the naked eye. But remember this: not every strange-looking mark is a valuable mint error. A scratch is not automatically an error. A dent is not automatically an error. Damage caused after the coin left the mint is not the same as a genuine minting variety. This is why authentication and professional examination can become extremely important when a coin appears unusual. The history of this coin also adds another layer of excitement. The 1944 Mercury Dime was produced during the final stage of the Second World War. The United States was still deeply involved in the conflict, and the country was operating under the enormous pressure of wartime production. Before you go, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Minted Million Coins, and press the bell icon so you never miss our freshly updated rare coin discoveries. Because the next valuable coin could be hiding anywhere, and you might be the person who finds it. So keep checking your coins, keep searching for hidden treasures, and stay with Minted Million Coins for more rare US coins, valuable nickels, and unbelievable coin discoveries. Subscribe now, turn on notifications, and join the hunt for America's next $1 million treasure.